Sierra from Gonzalo's, Milwaukee, and we're here with Jenny Gao at BYO Studio for the Ink Show. How did you get involved with the show here?
I was actually invited by Steph Davis. She's the one who's organizing this show, so she's around here somewhere.
Okay.
But she's another artist here in Milwaukee.
Okay, that's awesome. So can you explain a little bit about your work? I like your concept of dealing with place and identity. Can you explain why you're kind of like obsessed with that whole notion? What does it mean to you?
Well, for me, where all my work began was with a lot of family stories, and in my adult life I've lived far away from home, and basically when I came to Milwaukee there wasn't anything that connected me to this place as far as family goes, as far as former friends went. So there's this idea of being in this place where I had no roots, and what I had to do to take ownership of where I was, and I feel like that's a lot of what people are really searching for. We're all searching for this grounded sense of identity. We want to feel like we belong where we are, but at the same time we need to grow and we need to change, and we need to be flexible to that. So a lot of the imagery that you'll see that I use, I'll combine inanimate objects like chairs and houses with animals, and animals have been a really big part of my work as well. So this idea of things that can move and things that can change, and this dialogue, what happens when they combine or they conflict with things that don't change and grow. And then with something like a tree, for instance, something that has roots, but in the case in a lot of my images, combining with these animals no longer have their roots, but that being an image that's a tree being something that's both stationary, but also something that grows and that does change, even though it doesn't look like it's moving.
That's great. I really love that quote that you had in your bio about how change is the only thing that's constant, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So where's home for you?
Home is wherever I'm doing something I like.
Yeah?
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's one of the things that I kind of resolved for myself through the artwork that I do. Because I've lived in a few different places, and I've liked everywhere that I live. I adapt pretty quickly, and I learn where I am pretty easily. But there hasn't been any particular place that's spoken to me as home necessarily. It's been, what am I doing when I'm there?
Okay.
Yeah.
So is your artwork kind of like your home? Like, how do you put yourself into the work, and how does it make you feel sort of constant and stable in that sense?
I would say when I'm in the process of making work, that would be when I am the most content.
Okay. That's great. How do you feel about the whole Milwaukee scene, and have you been showing art in a lot of places, or how have you been making Milwaukee your home in a sense?
Yeah, I've shown in a number of places around Milwaukee. I've been here for about a year and a half now, so I do like it. I like the sense of the Milwaukee art scene in that, in one way, like it's small enough that you can get to know it pretty quickly, and it feels accessible in that way. Milwaukee is interesting because it's split up into a lot of different little neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So it has a different feel from the other places I lived, and I don't know. I like learning the new language of the way another city works. So
that's
yeah.
great. That's awesome. We all love Milwaukee. I've heard this interview saying that if you love Milwaukee or you hate Milwaukee, it's because you've been here or you've never been here. I think you just have to come here and see the great things about it.
I will say, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So I like Milwaukee.
That's great.
And I'm someone who hasn't been here very long, and I feel I have gotten that sense as far as Milwaukee having potential goes. I think there's a lot of potential here. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of people who maybe don't give it enough credit.
Yeah, there's a lot of credit to be given. There's a big creative community that's building, a lot of young people doing a lot of great stuff, and
right.
I feel like it kind of gets overshadowed by like bigger places or other people that...
Which is, I mean, that would be the negative side of it, because what you do then is you discourage those people who are supposed to be a part of your growing community. Mm-hmm. They're the foundation of who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So can you explain a little bit about, like, You talked about carving into woodwork and how you make your prints. Can you explain a little bit of the process of your art and how you do that? I've seen like huge pieces of wood that you do, and you kind of carve into it, and then do you paste it onto a piece of paper or like a print?
Yeah, so basically all of my wood carvings are all hand carved. So I draw the image directly onto the block, or I transfer something ahead of time and then I can carve it out. Once it's carved, I just roll the surface with ink, and then I lay the paper on top of the block. And I don't know how familiar you are with printmaking, but basically whatever's cut out, that won't print.
Okay.
So it basically works like a giant stamp.
Wow, that's awesome.
And, yeah.
How long does the process usually take you?
These are actually, the blocks I have in the show are all pretty small.
Okay.
So I don't know how long, maybe. I'm used to carving the bigger ones. The 3 by 4 feet ones take me about 50 hours.
Wow.
The longest I ever spent on a block is 100. I'd say maybe each of these between 10 and 20 hours to carve each one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work put into a lot of great art, a lot of tedious paying attention to detail, and I love it all. It's very great. And it was very awesome to talk to you.
Yeah.
Where can we find out more about the work, and where can we see some more of your stuff?
Yeah, if you just type in Jennie, JENIE.org, that'll take you directly to my website. And that'll link you to my blog as well, where you can find out more about my studio space and the events and workshops that I'll be having there.
Okay, great. What kind of workshops do you do?
Woodcut workshops. So that's something that I've just started, because I just started running the studio space as well.
Okay.
And I'm very interested in being able to make my work as accessible to people as possible. I like sharing what I do. I like teaching, and I like people to be familiar with the process, because I feel like it opens up the opportunity for people to share that much more in the stories that the work is about.
That's great. Share your art and share your stories with people. That's the best way to make any place your home. And
Yeah.
that's great. Well, thank you, Jennie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hi, I'm Sierra from Gozamos, Milwaukee, and here with Steph Davies at BYO Studio for the Ink Show. How did you put together the show? She's the curator, actually. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
This is our 3rd year running. It started out, I was living in Chicago for 8 years, and I studied illustration at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago there. So I already had this community there of illustrators. And when I moved to Milwaukee, I didn't really know where to find people who were doing work like I was doing. And illustration has a history of not being taken as seriously as painting. And so the goal of Ink is to take over a gallery space and force people to kind of reconsider what they might just walk by on a normal day. So every year we try to pick 10 to 12 artists, and we take over BYO, and they're so nice to host us. And so yeah, it's our 3rd year, and I think it's the best show yet.
No, I think it's really awesome. I love all the work here. So why do you think that illustration doesn't get a good rep in comparison to painting?
I wouldn't say it's not a good rep, but it's just any art student will tell you that in art school, you're supposed to be a painter or, some dramatic thing, and illustration is a very serious thing, but it can take so many different forms, and I think that's what Ink does. It shows you that it can be painterly, and it can take on all these different shapes. It's not just to illustrate a book, or it can stand on its own. So
how did you choose the artists for the show? Did they contact you, or did you contact them?
About half of them have been in past shows, so they're just continuing on. And then I would say the other half are artists whose work I've admired and seen around town, and I sort of reached out and I wanted to show by them. And so, I just invited them to be a part of it, and they were excited to do it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So you two are an artist yourself. I saw your stuff over there.
Yeah.
How does you went to school for scientific illustration? How does that kind of play into the work that you do?
Well, it goes back to this one day, and I used to study at the Field Museum in Chicago, and we got to hang out in the back rooms where no one goes. And one day this guy just opened this drawer filled with birds, and ever since then I've just been stuck on that subject matter. And I try to branch out a little bit, but that's kind of where it started, and it's just stuck with me. So
birds are super. I love birds. They're very great animals. I look at them and sometimes I wish I could fly.
Yeah, they're very free.
Yeah, they're very freeing animals. So do you have any hopes to do more Ink shows in the future?
Yeah, it's something we'd like to do every year. And actually, next Friday I have a shop opening up in Shorewood, which is going to be an all artist consignment shop. So it might be the new venue for the show. We'll see.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's continuing on in that.
What's the store opening up called?
The Wax Wing.
Okay.
A bird.
That's awesome. Very cool. So are you going to have a lot of illustration and consignment? Like what kind of are there going to be clothing or everything?
Yeah, everything. We'll have openings every 2 months. So right now we have 6 featured artists up for the grand opening, and then over 60 artists in the shop. Everything from pottery to jewelry to prints. I mean, it's across-the-board clothing.
That's awesome. So you kind of opened it up to give people a space to show their stuff?
Totally.
That's very cool. Well, thank you very much for talking with us. I very much appreciate it. And I hope that you guys do more shows to come. And
we will.
Keep doing what you're doing and show that illustration is awesome, because it definitely is awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.